How many hours would you spend on a low-cost airline? 2, 3, maybe 5? Well, in the name of budget traveling, I decided, rather foolishly I might add, to spend 13 hours on Cebu Pacific. The journey will take us from Dubai to the Korean capital of Seoul with a layover in Manila. On this rather uncomfortable odyssey, I'll spend 9 hours on the world's most crowded plane, Cebu Pacific's jam-packed A330 Neo. So let's get ready for a cheap but very rough journey on the Philippines' largest budget carrier. The adventure begins at Dubai International Airport. Good afternoon and welcome back to another low-cost airline review. We are at Dubai International Airport, or DXB, Terminal 1. DXB is the second busiest airport in the world with over 86 million passengers per year. The airport is connected to Dubai's metro system with the Red Line stopping at Terminals 1 and 3. As of 2024, the airport has 3 passenger terminals. T1 caters to over 100 airlines, but not Emirates. Terminal 2 is used by regional and budget carriers, and Terminal 3 is where Emirates and Qantas operate from. The first flight of today's itinerary is Cebu Pacific 5J15. Departing Dubai at 10:10 in the evening and landing in Manila at 11:40 am. Flight time will be 9.5 hours. Oh dear. T1 is Dubai's oldest terminal, as it was part of the original airport which began operations in 1960. It was, however, completely renovated in 2015 and is now an efficient and modern terminal. It isn't as fancy or striking as newer terminals, but it is well organized. As such, security and immigration took less than 10 minutes. After immigration, you hop on a SkyTrain to reach the main departure concourse, and that journey takes about 5 minutes. And here we are, the gate area of Terminal 1. You have plenty of food choices, convenience stores and seating options. Nothing extraordinary, but clean and comfortable. The prices are reasonable and the Wi-Fi is decent. Overall, a very satisfactory airport experience. As we still have a few hours to kill before boarding, let's talk about Cebu Pacific, Asia's first budget airline. Founded in 1988, Cebu Pacific was the first airline to offer cheap flights with no frills in the Asia-Pacific market. At the time of filming, they fly to 13 countries with a strong focus on the domestic Filipino market. Outside of Asia, Cebu Pacific only flies to Australia and Dubai. Their current fleet consists of 72 planes, out of which 63 are Airbus A320s and A321s. And then they have 9 A330 Neos with the most densely packed configuration on the planet, but we'll get to that. Anyhow, the airline has a very simple motto, which is to provide cheap and reliable aviation for average Filipinos who might not have the resources to fly on full-service carriers. And that is what we're gonna judge them on. By the way, if you are interested in low-cost aviation, I have an entire playlist featuring budget airlines from all over the world on my channel. And here's my ride to Manila, an Airbus A330-900 delivered in 2022. Boarding started a full 70 minutes before departure, which isn't too surprising considering that they have to get over 450 passengers onto this plane. I was actually quite impressed by the boarding process. Everything was swift and efficient, and passengers respected their assigned zones. So let's find out what the world's most crowded plane is like. This A330 Neo has 459 seats in an all-economy configuration. Some front rows have more legroom, but there is no premium cabin. To illustrate just how densely packed this plane is, let's compare it to other airlines. Condor, for example, puts 310 seats onto the A330 Neo, while Virgin Atlantic's cabin only holds 264. So how does Cebu Pacific manage to cram so many passengers in? Well, it's pretty simple. They get rid of all the premium cabins, take out a few bathrooms, and most importantly, make the seats very narrow. That is why this plane has a 333 configuration instead of the A330's usual 242 layout. My seat today is 47 Alpha, and I actually made a big mistake. I wanted to book one of the last rows, which have 2 seats instead of 3, but I chose the wrong number, my own stupidity. Anyhow, what are the seats like? As you would expect, the legroom is pretty limited. I am 172 centimeters tall and I don't have a lot of space. Consequently, if you are over 1,80 meters or 6 feet, you will really struggle here. The seat itself is narrow, but the padding is quite decent. There is no headrest and the seat does not recline. There is a seat back pocket with an onboard menu and a safety card. And surprisingly enough, Cebu Pacific offers USB charging. And that is it. Literally nothing else I can show you. So yeah, certainly not the most comfortable product, but let's see what I think about it after 9.5 hours. Thanks to the efficient boarding process, we soon pushed back and taxied out to the runway. We departed bang on time and were now heading east toward the Philippines. Just 25 minutes after takeoff, the crew began serving meals to those who had pre-ordered them. The airline offers a wide selection of snacks and beverages to buy on board, but hot meals have to be pre-ordered. Those pre-ordered meals can either be served for dinner or breakfast. As we departed after 10 p.m, I did not get any dinner, but bought some cup noodles and a beer instead. This was mostly to help me sleep. And yes, in the Philippines, they put ice cubes into beer. For a European, this is hard to tolerate. But when in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? Cebu Pacific has absolutely zero in-flight entertainment and no streaming to your own device. As such, you have to bring your own, which is what I did. I did manage to get some sleep, but it was rather uncomfortable and broken. The seats are simply too narrow and the lack of recline makes it very challenging to get into a proper sleeping position. Anyhow, it is now time for some grub. My pre-ordered breakfast was a Filipino staple, beef adobo. It contains rice, beef with soy sauce, some spices and potatoes. And yeah, the quality was okay, nothing to write home about, but perfectly adequate for a budget airline. The loo was spotless and so was the rest of the plane. Kudos to Cebu Pacific for keeping the cabin in pristine condition throughout the entire flight, even with over 450 passengers on board. And that brings me to the cabin crew. They were fantastic, super friendly and fast. Definitely one of Cebu Pacific's strong suits. The hours flew by and we were soon in Filipino airspace. We landed in Manila at 11:15 AM, 25 minutes early. The punctuality was top-notch, but I have to say that my legs and my butt were pretty numb at this point. Overall, this was a pretty brutal red-eye flight. As a result, the last thing I wanted upon arrival was a complicated and annoying transit. So, did Manila Airport deliver on that front? The short answer is yes. Transit security took no more than 10 minutes and I now had plenty of time to check out MNL Terminal 3. Open since 2008, Terminal 3 is Manila's newest terminal and it is pretty standard. Not great, not terrible. You'll find a decent number of shops and eateries as well as seating options. As I was shattered and had about 6 hours to kill, I decided to head to the lounge. Now, I usually don't include lounges in my economy and low-cost reviews because they are not part of the experience for the average flyer. However, at Ninoy Aquino, you can pay 1,500 Filipino pesos to enter the PAGSS Lounge. You can also use a priority pass to get in, which is what I did. And yeah, for a contract lounge, it is pretty good. A varied offer of food and beverages, plenty of comfortable chairs and lovely staff. Because this lounge is so easy to access though, it is always busy. Anyhow, I spent a few hours relaxing in here and it was soon time to board the next flight, 5J188, departing Manila at 6 PM and arriving in Seoul-Incheon at 11:15. Flight time will be 4 hours and 15 minutes. Our plane is hiding behind this one and it is a 2019 built Airbus A321 CEO. Just like on the first flight, boarding was super efficient and I was soon making my way through the jet bridge onto the plane. This A321 has 230 seats in an all-economy configuration. Again, everything is pretty cramped but clean and functional. I am sitting in 33 Alpha on this flight and the legroom isn't great. There is a small tray table and a seatback pocket. No USB ports this time. Not much to show you here, but I think that this product is perfectly fine for shorter journeys. After a pretty long taxi, we were set for another on-time departure. I have to say that this was one of the most spectacular takeoffs I've ever witnessed, so please enjoy the incredible sunset views over Manila. On this leg, I had pre-ordered some chicken pasta, and in line with the first flight, the meal was okay. The food on Cebu Pacific is pretty average, but it gets the job done. My only complaint is that my 2 pre-ordered meals were a bit expensive, but more on that later. The best thing by far about this entire journey were the views that I got during the first hour of this flight. What a gorgeous Filipino sunset. The loo was clean and the cabin crew were superb, just like on the A330 Neo. And that is pretty much that. We landed in Seoul-Incheon at 11 PM, 15 minutes early. I paid a total of 246 euros for this journey, including 34 euros in add-ons. The base fare was very affordable, but the extra fees can add up rather quickly on Cebu Pacific. Keep in mind that this fare was carry-on only. 20 kilos of checked luggage would have cost another 40 euros. Nevertheless, this was still excellent value for money. On this particular route, the next cheapest options are Chinese carriers that make you transit in Shanghai, Guangzhou or Beijing, and those airlines still charge around 100 euros more. And finally, if you want to fly direct from Dubai to Seoul, you'll be looking at prices in the region of 600 euros. So, would I recommend flying long haul on Cebu Pacific? The short answer is no. After 9 hours on the A330 Neo, my butt was pretty numb and my legs were hurting. And trust me, I am used to flying long haul in coach, so I'm not overly sensitive here. This was just a bit too much in terms of sacrificing comfort for a good deal. However, I do want to clarify that this doesn't make Cebu Pacific a bad airline. They are in fact a great airline, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. Here's why. Airlines like Cebu Pacific play a crucial role in their respective countries because they make aviation accessible to millions of people who might otherwise not be able to fly, and that's why they deserve praise. To wrap it up, I am rating this journey 6.5 out of 10. I believe that Cebu Pacific is a solid choice for shorter routes, but if you have another option, don't fly long haul on their A330 Neo. Your back and butt will thank you later. Let me know your opinion down in the comments. Would you take a ride on the world's most crowded plane? As always, thanks very much for watching and see you in the next one. Goodbye.